Boom! A zero! Yes, that's right. I was at the Leipzig Toy and Hobby Fair last weekend and I couldn't resist buying two of these bad boys. Why buying two? They were €7.50 a piece. So 40 bucks for two zeros, which is great, kind of. Thing is, this kit is from around 95, as we can see on the decal sheet a bit. Yeah, printed in 94. Anyways, this is a great tooling. I mean, you can see how simple it is. We have a nice cockpit here. Very nice detail. Everything is raised properly for painting, which you will see later on how it ends. And of course, this kit has some flash. I mean, it does. But look at those details. And yes, my lights are flickering here, and that's a camera issue. But look at those rivets. That's something you don't always see on Revell kits. And those are nice rivets, not gonna lie. They stick out. And they are kind of clean. I mean, I don't have to use a riveting tool to make some. But also here you can see the plastic indicates 1962, which is probably the tooling of this kit. So yeah, very old. Anyways, some parts, like the tank, had to be test fitted before gluing. Problem was, no matter how often you test fit on moddeds, and I can't say it enough, test fit if you can. It's better than just straight up gluing, but as you can see here on the plane's body, I am doing a test fit and you have gaps. For such old kits, especially on the downside here, there's a big gap, but for such old kits, you need some clamps and or putty to make it pop, to make it look perfect. Of course I didn't. I started painting a pilot in khaki, I think. Honestly, the pilot is bare minimum. There's nothing great about it except like the mask and a little, well, stick between his legs to figure around and Scheiße. And well, to steer the plane with, control the plane. But yeah, he's just putting in here. There's no cockpit, which is sad. I mean, we have a pilot, why don't we get him a nice cockpit? But okay, I'm not paid enough to know why this is a problem. I just continue to, well, see him in his eternal flight into the big model shelf realm of important happiness and just, well, glued the plane together. And the problem while gluing, even though I test fitted, didn't really work. I had to get some of my clamps out. Very high-tech tooling here. And yes, I know Revell has some clamps, but I just used the shit that family members gifted me and or is laying around. Yeah, and or have been found in the toolbox of my dad back when I still lived with my father. But yeah, that's another problem. And I mean, it's a pretty straightforward kit. I start to glue the wings to the body, and yeah, there is a big gap. We saw that during test fitting. I didn't put any putty or epoxy putty in there, in the gap, since it's barely visible. I mean, this plane will be on a stand, but I don't care about it. This plane can't be perfect or a Dresden or BHQ plane without some major skipping of events. As you can see here, I'm painting with some, well, olive-ish color the cockpit, and well, I didn't paint the insides, obviously. I'm doing a great job here, not gonna lie. Also, a thing I always struggle with is canopies. No matter the scale, I always struggle to mask them off perfectly. either fluid or tape. I don't care. I can do it. Okay, I can do it. But that's a problem for another day. As you can see here, it somewhat worked. Alright, now for a bit more of painting. Japanese planes had some light grayish color as a, sky color, as an undertone. Thing is, I didn't realize that after it was too late, and I kind of mixed with XF23 sky blue and some white. I kind of tried to mix a very light sky blue. In the end, it kind of works, but next time I could just put 2 drops of black in it and call it a day. Also, don't ask about the mixing ratios here. Only God knows, and he's always looking away when I paint something. At least that's my personal headcanon, I don't know. But only he knows what paint ratios I use here. And not gonna lie, if you paint something yourself, make your own paint ratio. Look how it works on the kit or on the model. Same goes for tanks. When you want a tank with a base color, just dilute the base color a bit and make it a bit lighter or darker and see where it leads you. Also, I realized during the mixing that the blue is still a bit too blue, and then I had to pour some more white into it. And after I was happy with the result of my mixed color, I just diluted it with some thinner. And as for most zeros, the nose has been painted black. Don't ask me why, I'm not really too much into zero lore, but one day we'll get there. And for the main color of the plane, since this is an army plane and not a navy plane, maybe you saw it on the box art, I used XF13 JA Green, which I also used on my little Hargo last January, if you remember this video. I think I put an info card somewhere, or in the top right or something. Note here, normally for planes in a smaller scale than 35th or 32nd, you have to make the paint a bit lighter so it pops out, especially on some NATO vehicles. But as you know, I completely ignore instructions and or tips that I get. Okay, not all, but most of them. And that's why we ended up with such a darkish green, but I mean, it looks good, okay? There's possibly a better mixture out there that I will use in the future, but the next Japanese World War II plane is scheduled for January, so yeah, I have a few weeks. At least 8 weeks until I have to figure it out how to mix it. And a new technique I used on this plane is called dry brushing. Yes, I got myself a dry brush. Anyways, and I put some metal color onto it, wiped it off on a piece of cloth or something. Don't remember anymore what I used. Or my hand. Probably my hand. And then I just dry brushed the areas where, you know, mechanics would walk around, the pilot is walking around or entering or getting out of the plane, you know, some chipping details, basically, but with a dry brush. It looks great, up until I applied one decal, which I realized way too late, but it looks great. And I'm very happy with the result. So maybe in future I will use it for more, well, planes that have some chipping effects. I just use my dry brush. Well, and after all this painting, I just went for the decals. And since they were from 94, I soaked them in decal softener from Revell. Not really soaked them, I drowned them, took them out, revived them, and drowned them again. That's how much I care for those decals and those rivets that I wanted to show on my model kit. I know it's not a perfect solution using Revell decal soft, but it gets the job done. I know there are some better options on the market, but it gets the job done. Also, the thing is, I use a cotton swab here. You don't have to use it, but it's the best option for decals. Just rub it onto the decal, and especially on this plane, or the plane in general with many rivets, just rub it in any direction. Vertical, horizontal, I don't know, queer, whatever, in circuits, whatever. It will look good, and you see the result, it looks good. The decals look kind of like I painted them with the airbrush. I said I put a plane on a stand, and that's what I did here. I put out my Dremel and just started chipping plastic off with it until I could add a stand to it, and then glued it on. And after this was done and dried, I went over the plane with some flat clear from Mr. Hobby, and then I called it good. And there we have it, a 172 scale 0 from Revell from 1995 and 04 with tooling of 62. It's complicated, like my love life. Anyways, problem is, with this Zero, we lack a cockpit. You know, Revell kits from era have cockpits. I know for a fact because I have kits from the same years that have cockpits and cockpit decals, and they are okay. Not perfect, but okay. They're good. That's the problem. I mean, what are we going to do about this? Simply, we don't care. Another thing, my decals were good for their age. I mean, it's about 31 years now from printing, or 30 years. I don't know about when they really were printed, but for some 30-year-old decals, they are great. I mean, if you look at other boxes, those decals and the decal paper, they are as sand as Tatooine in color, like as beige as Tatooine sand or something. I don't know. So I can't promise you when you pick this set off eBay or a reseller at a hobby and toy fair, whatever, where you find it, or a flea market, I can promise you that they are as good as mine. If you want to have some perfection, paint the yellow stripes. I learned it the hard way that you see that the decals aren't perfect symmetrical, and they don't have holes for the MGs, so you have to take the MGs off and glue them back onto the stripe. No biggie, but it's still an issue. So at least the yellow stripes, mask them off, paint them with an airbrush, and if you're very skilled, you can also make the insignias on the plane, like the red circles with the white little outer circle. If you're skilled enough, you can do that. Or you just buy a aftermarket decal set. Anyways, it's a great kit. For its time, it sure is a great kit. I mean, yes, we have some other kits from that time from Revell that clearly suck and or are perfect, like my Expentance 4, which is actually a Dragon Rebox, which Revell did a lot for 35th scale. Back in the day, they reboxed Dragon kits. So if you want some cheap Dragon kits, just search up 90s 35 scale Revell tanks. Anyways, now let's come to the Pfand collector. And as you can see here, we have some money. This is €9.75, which combined with the last time I counted, 111.44, leads us to €121.19, which is in turn already 6 children happier this Christmas. Christmas is drawing near, guys. I know it's still Spooktober and Halloween hasn't happened, and I didn't got to go to my fancy Halloween party getting all drunk and rambling about some army. But we're getting there. As for now, we have the 12th of October 2025. In 8 weeks, it's about to be Christmas. Which means I only have 1 month and 2 weeks left to collect the Pfand. So I can, on December 1st, buy the presents and pack them in a separate video. Yeah, I never thought I'd get here, but as it turned out, in Germany the money is on the streets without even selling your body. And now back to the small zero. Well, after all, if I would have to rank this kit on a scale, which I'll probably introduce next year, I would give it a 6.5 out of 10. It's a great kit, but due to the lack of cockpit and the risk you can take with the decals, only 6.5. If you want, get it. If you want to get a better kit, Airfix and I think Hasegawa, Fujimi have also some great zeros. But with that out of the way, thank you everyone for watching. I wish you a very nice rest of your day. And I'll go and head off now to build the next model that is released in the next 2 weeks. And until then, bye bye.